From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
New claims of a sexual assault surfacing at a migrant shelter in Yuma tonight.
Plus, hepatitis A outbreak. We show you the real risks some of our most vulnerable face on the streets of Phoenix and what you can do to protect yourself.
You're hiding behind a screen when you attack somebody.
And one Arizona teen's courageous story of how she survived cyberbullying in middle school.
Cronkite News starts now.
U.S. Customs and Border Patrol agents in Yuma are under investigation for allegedly mistreating migrant children in detention. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Jessie Jopali.
And I'm Matt Hogeson. Thank you for joining us. The allegations include the mistreatment and sexual assault of children. Cronkite News reporter Tanaya Williamson is following the story today. Tanaya, what can you tell us?
These allegations have put U.S. Border Patrol and Customs on the defensive, while some local activists say this kind of behavior is nothing new.
The mistreatment of Border Patrol agents to migrants runs back a long time.
And now there's accusations it's happening in Arizona. According to an NBC News report, case managers have collected dozens of accounts by children of sexual assault and retaliation for protests in a Yuma detention center. They include a 15-year-old girl from Honduras who alleges she was groped by an officer and a 16-year-old Guatemalan boy who says he was forced to sleep on a concrete floor after complaining about the food.
It's like a war zone. It has become a war zone. And they don't see it as a humanitarian crisis. They see it as a war zone. It's the enemy. And if it's the enemy, then you can do whatever you want to.
For its part, Customs and Border Patrol released a statement in response to the report saying, in part, quote, U.S. Customs and Border Protection treats those in our custody with dignity and respect and provides multiple avenues to report any allegations of misconduct. We take all allegations seriously and investigate all formal complaints. The allegations do not align with common practice at our facilities and will be fully investigated. It's important to note that the allegation of sexual assault is already under investigation by the Department of Homeland Security's Office of Inspector General. End quote. CBP Acting Secretary Kevin McAleenan says those who engage in behavior unbecoming of the agency will be held accountable.
I think it's imperative that we get cameras in those facilities, and I appreciate the president directing that this week. That allowed us to work with DOJ to look at our policy and see that the public interest here in showing what's happening in our facilities is at least equal or outweighs temporarily the privacy interest in those in detention.
The allegations are made up of about 30 accounts obtained from significant incident reports prepared between April 10th and June 12th. In Phoenix, Tanaya Williamson, Cronkite News.
Right now, top Democratic leaders are calling for Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta to resign for the way he handled a plea deal for multimillionaire Jeffrey Epstein in 2008. But President Trump is standing by Acosta for now. Meanwhile, top congressional Republicans are condemning Epstein's alleged crimes, but refusing to take a stance on Acosta's future. Epstein was charged this week with operating a sex trafficking ring involving minors. A judge ruled in February of this year that Acosta violated federal law by keeping Epstein's plea deal secret from his victims.
Yesterday, Cindy McCain, the wife of late Senator John McCain, weighed in on Twitter saying, "It is my hope that Jeffrey Epstein and the others who participated in abusing these children be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. It highlights the need to strengthening existing laws."
Combating sex trafficking requires enforcement and action. In Arizona, truckers are playing a key role. Cronkite News reporters Jake Goodrick and Alicia Longo hit the road to find out how.
I was coming back from California and I'm sitting in the Loves and I hear this knock on the door and I open up my curtain and it's a young lady standing after it and she asked me if I wanted any company. And I looked at her and I said, "Ma'am," I says, Are you in trouble? I said, "You see the side of my truck? Is somebody forcing you to do this?" Next thing I know, she said no, and she took off real fast. So, and I didn't see her after that. So I made the phone call and I reported it, and it wasn't maybe 20 minutes later, here come city police in the parking lot, driving around the parking lot.
The efforts that the trucking industry makes in that regard, not just for the day-to-day commercial vehicle safety, but the efforts they make in being eyes and ears for signs of human trafficking that goes on out on the highways, and in not only the highways but the rest areas, the truck stops, the areas that they're going to be at.
If there's anything going on, we're gonna see it, flat out. We're gonna see it. We're gonna be the first ones there on the scene.
We know that human trafficking is something that is transient. They often go from one location to the next.
There's more truck drivers than there are police officers, clearly. The truck drivers just kind of blend into the landscape. You can picture that the criminals engaged in trafficking is going to look around, and if he sees the state trooper in their uniform and in their marked vehicle, they're going to be wary. They're going to try to hide the activities. They're probably less aware of the driver that is stopped at the rest area or at the truck stop, updating his paperwork.
How can we use the power of multiplier of the 3 million truck drivers that are on the road to try and identify and at least train them and educate them into what the crime is?
What we decided to do was build a themed semi-truck, and then we would auction the truck off and donate all the proceeds to Truckers Against Trafficking. When I started to work for Inland, it was 22 years ago, I was a parts delivery driver. And so I would drive up and down Buckeye all day long. And I would see the drug dealing and the human trafficking going on there. And I had never been exposed to that kind of thing in my life. And so my coping mechanism was to just look straight forward and not look side to side. And that's what Truckers Against Trafficking did for me, is they kind of woke me up and they made me look side to side and realize, hey, there are problems going on here. And there's something you can do about it.
We want to be part of the solution. We want to be part of solving this problem and fighting these crimes. And when you empower somebody to do that, it's an incredibly life-changing moment.
I mean, I love what I'm doing. I do feel for these people, and if there's anything I can do to help somebody that's in trouble, I'll step up to the plate.
A 2018 survey by ASU's Office of Sex Trafficking Intervention Research found that 34.6% of homeless youth surveyed in Arizona reported sex trafficking exploitation.
The director of the Arizona Department of Child Safety is resigning in September to join the nonprofit Child Help USA as chief operating officer. The nonprofit helps abused, neglected, and at-risk children. There's no word yet on who will replace Greg McKay, who's led DCS since Governor Doug Ducey took office in 2015. There are now at least 216 hepatitis A cases in Maricopa County alone. That's over half all the cases in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Amanda Slee introduces us to a man who's part of the most at-risk group for getting this infection.
Just last night, health officials recorded their first death in the Maricopa County related to the hepatitis A outbreak. Those who are homeless, drug users, and people who are currently or were recently incarcerated are among the groups at high risk for contracting this disease.
Esteban Park in South Phoenix is more than just a park for one man.
I come over to the park, use the restroom, stuff like that, wash up. I also got people that come by and bring me water.
That's because he lives underground in a makeshift house he dug.
I got it covered up where you can't really tell it's there.
He is one of 6,298 total homeless persons reported last year in Maricopa County. With the current hepatitis A outbreak, this entire population is one of 3 groups in the highest risk of contracting this disease, but anyone can become infected according to officials.
Hepatitis A is spread fecal-orally, which means if you've got a small amount of fecal matter or stool on your hand and you're preparing food, you can get that into the food.
This can also be spread through person-to-person contact. That's why health officials say the best way to prevent it from spreading is to wash your hands.
It has all the hygienic stuff so you can get clean and all that kind of stuff.
A founder at one nonprofit is driving around to help spread awareness and provide people with tools to keep up with their hygiene.
I think it's important for them to have all the hygienic stuff because if we don't give it to them, mostly for the homeless who don't go to shelters, it could get more, it could get spread.
Hepatitis A causes an inflammation of the liver, yellowing of the skin, fever, and nausea. And even worse,
there is no treatment for hepatitis A.
After Ruben found out about this outbreak today, he says he's going to keep living his life just like normal.
If I get it, I get it. It's just a way of life, I guess, for me.
Health officials say they are working with these communities to provide awareness and free immunization for high-risk groups. In the studio, Amanda Slee, Cronkite News.
An article by the New Times today about cops being able to use CBD products has a lot of you talking on our social media sites right now. CBD is an active ingredient in cannabis, but unlike THC, it does not get you high. It just helps soothe symptoms.
Well, last month, the Arizona Peace Officer Standards and Training Board issued a statement clarifying that it, quote, does not view the use or possession of over-the-counter products containing CBD as constituting the illegal use or possession of marijuana, a dangerous drug, or a narcotic drug.
So basically, officers can use CBD products as long as they have less than 0.3% of THC in them.
We wanted to know what you thought about this, so we asked on our Cronkite News Facebook and Twitter pages, and here's what some of you had to say. Mata wrote, "These products are no different than any products using plant ingredients."
And Christy agreed, saying, if it helps with their stress and addresses PTSD, let them have up to the maximum allowed by law. It's not too late to join the conversation. Just go to our Cronkite News Facebook or Twitter page and chime in.
Coming up on Cronkite News, the heartbreaking effects of cyberbullying and how an Arizona middle schooler dealt with the online threats after realizing she wasn't alone.
And we reveal the most dangerous place for pedestrians to walk in America. Believe it or not, it's right here in the Valley. The answer, after the break.
Night is dark and day is light. I keep you on my mind both day and night.
The song came from my mother's fear. You know, you're going out on the road and these girls are coming up and to you, and he wrote, I walk the line. I'm gonna stay true to you.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
Cyberbullying can affect a teen's self-esteem and mental health. But one former victim of bullying on social media fought back.
Cronkite News reporter Bane Froney is live in the broadcast center to explain how new programs and technology may provide parents and their children with tools to triumph.
A former middle schooler said relentless bullying went on for years. She said that other teens share her struggle.
Bullying for me started when I was in kindergarten, and it went up till I was in 8th grade.
Grace Martinez, now headed into her senior year of high school, had a hard time in middle school. Her classmates bullied her on social media.
You're hiding behind a screen when you attack somebody, so you don't get punishment for it.
Her family was in the dark.
We just never saw the signs of the bullying because my daughter, she has a very bubbly personality. She's like very happy-go-lucky.
And, you know, I did my usual ritual at home. You know, I ate dinner, I did the dishes, I was somebody else in front of my parents and my family, and I was somebody else in front of my friends.
But behind her bedroom door, Martinez changed.
I got to the point where I didn't want to feel the pain they were giving me, so I wanted to feel something physical, so that's when I started cutting myself.
Classmates created a hate page about her on the social media app Vine, making fun of her looks.
Instead of it being in person, it was all online, so everybody could read it.
According to the Pew Research Center, 59% of U.S. teens have experienced cyberbullying, and 42% of those teens have been called offensive names. But help may be on the way. Arizona State University researchers are creating an app that detects bullying on Instagram, similar to one they developed for Facebook.
It's basically a machine learning based model that means learns from data to be able to predict in the future instances of cyberbullying.
The app for parents would alert them to recurring insults and offer ways to help.
Or feature that is able to produce a personalized list of resources, since the up understands why cyberbullying happened for that specific teenager.
The Martinez family also has recommendations for parents and young people.
Making sure you have those conversations so you know more or less what's going on when they leave your house.
Grace Martinez is now a student ambassador for the Speak Up, Stand Up, Save a Life, an annual conference that spreads awareness about bullying and how to stop it.
It's really great to see them come out, how to prevent bullying and suicide and all those kinds of things.
If Grace had the chance to meet her bullies face to face, she would tell them,
I hope you are in a better place, and I hope that you're going to be a better person and that your words aren't going to matter.
If you or someone you know is being cyberbullied, tell a parent or trusted adult, and don't be afraid to ask for help. In the Broadcast Center, Bain Froney, Cronkite News.
A new report by Smart Growth America ranks Arizona's 7th congressional district the most dangerous place to walk in all of America. From 2008 to 2017, 344 pedestrians were killed in the 7th district alone. Statistics released by the state also showed 1,764 car crashes involved pedestrians last year. A bill titled Complete Streets Acts of 2019 was introduced today in the House and Senate. If passed, it would require the state to fund safe street projects like bike lanes and crosswalks.
Good news for those who prefer to use the light rail. The U.S. Department of Transportation just announced a $100 million grant to extend the line throughout South Phoenix. But that money could go away if voters pull the plug on the next project next month. While light rail supporters, including Mayor Kate Gallego, say the extension will spur economic growth for the city, opponents call it a waste of money and say it will negatively impact neighborhoods. Construction on the light rail is expected to begin in spring 2020. Up next on Cronkite News, the Arizona heat can be brutal, even deadly.
Especially for workers who spend most of the day in the sun. After the break, we'll tell you about a new push in D.C. to protect those exposed to the heat the most.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles. In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Shade, water, and rest. It sounds simple, but for people working in the brutal summer heat of Arizona, it can mean the difference between life and death.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill today unveiled a bill to mandate those protections, as Julian Barras reports from our Washington bureau.
The weather in Arizona is considered to be brutal. But when it comes to farm workers who don't have reasonable access to water, shade, or rest, the weather can be fatal.
This is a fairness issue. This is a worker protection issue. OSHA must enforce, monitor, and oversee health heat standards for all workers.
Arizona Congressman Raul Grijalva was talking about the Asuncion Valdivia Heat Illness and Fatality Prevention Act. While it's named for a farm worker who died from heat stroke, it would apply to workers anywhere who face exposure to dangerous heat.
This is about safety, this is about fairness, and this is about health.
Rosa Carballo described her experience of working in the fields in blistering heat without access to shade and water, while wearing layers of clothing to protect yourself from the sun.
I remember during lunch breaks, there was no adequate shade that was provided to us, and I had to either sit on my cooler underneath a tree or sit in my car with the door open because there was no designated shade at all, and I had to find the shade all on my own.
The bill would force the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to set heat safety standards for workers whose job sites are not air-conditioned, whether it's in the fields, on a construction site, or in a warehouse.
Some are going to say this is an undue burden on the employer. No, it's not.
Employers should be responsible for the people that work for them, for their health and safety. It's not too much to ask that they be protected.
An Arizona Chamber of Commerce spokesman said businesses welcome protection for workers, but he questioned whether they should come from Congress.
The Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry would welcome the opportunity to learn more about this bill. But typically, worksite regulatory issues and oversight issues are best handled at a state level.
Carballo said that wherever it comes from, the protection is needed for workers who face potentially deadly working conditions.
I think that everyone should be on board with expanding these rights to farm workers, and that farm workers shouldn't be overlooked because their hard work does go a long way, and they should be adequately provided some protection for what they do.
According to lawmakers, a hearing will be held tomorrow to discuss the bill and its plans moving forward. At Capitol Hill, Julian Paras, Cronkite News.
Grijalva said the bill is needed because there is currently no federal standard to protect high-risk workers from excessive heat.
Witnesses representing farmers, contractors, and farm workers are all expected to tomorrow's hearing on the bill. Taking a live look now at downtown Phoenix, it's not only hot out there, but we've got an ozone pollution advisory in effect for Metro Phoenix right now.
Nikisha Johnson is joining us now to explain what that means for all of us. Nikisha?
Yes, we do have some hazardous weather conditions today and the next couple days. For today, we have an air quality alert, so the National Weather Service recommends that we carpool or take public transportation. And if you have any gas-powered equipment, try to use it later on in the day. Now for tomorrow and Friday, we have an excessive heat warning. So if you are out and about, try to stop by one of the heat relief stations set up across the valley by several organizations. Now we're gonna take a look at the temperatures into the night. So we're gonna be at 109 at 6 p.m. and slowly our temperatures will drop down, hitting 100 at 10 p.m. Over the next couple days, our high for tomorrow will be 111, same with Friday. Saturday will hit 113. And then those clouds will be in and out throughout the week, with our highs being in those 100s and our lows being those high 80s. With your weather report, I'm Nikisha Johnson at Cronkite News.
A former ASU star is shining in the Summer League.
Coming up, find out what the Sun Devil thinks about playing on the big stage and how he can make his mark.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
NBA Summer League has no shortage of rookie talent, but one former Sun Devil is about to make a name for himself.
Luguentz Dort is an undrafted free agent for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who played for ASU last season.
Reporter Kyla Wilcher checked out this rookie's start in the Summer League.
That's right, Dort won Pac-12 Freshman of the Year in 2019 and was even projected to be drafted as high as first round. But when that didn't pan out, he was picked up by the Thunder as an undrafted free agent. Now he's trying to prove that OKC made the right choice. Luguentz Dort is no stranger to the big stage. The guard helped lead ASU to the NCAA tournament a few months ago. Now, he's treating his Summer League games with the same importance.
I'm a really confident player. My role right now on this team, I feel like I'm doing it pretty well. Slash to the basket, back door, finishing at the rim, and play hard on defense, just do what I do best.
Thunder Summer League coach Dave Bliss says Dort's ball hawking prowess and his aggressiveness on defense make him a good fit in Oklahoma City.
We played a lot more structured basketball, and it really helped. Guys shine. We had good spacing, extra passing. Defensively, we were really on point there.
Dort made a splash against the Sixers, putting up 15 points and 3 rebounds. But even with this performance, the former Sun Devil says he still hasn't had his NBA moment quite yet.
It's most likely gonna happen in like training camp when I really be with all the players on the roster and stuff. Just where everything gonna start.
Dort says he's most excited about playing alongside some of the Thunder's stars, especially fellow Pac-12 product Russell Westbrook.
He's my favorite player, so I watch him almost every day. So like the fact that we're gonna be in the same locker room and we're gonna go at each other every practice and stuff like that, it's gonna be great. I'm just gonna learn a lot.
Dort signed a two-way contract with the Thunder on Saturday, which allows him to split time between the NBA franchise and its G League affiliate, and pays more than the standard G League contract. Dort and the Thunder continue summer league play against the Portland Trail Blazers on Thursday. Live from Arizona State, I'm Kyla Wilcher, Cronkite News.
Thousands of supporters gathered along Broadway in New York City today to celebrate the U.S. women's soccer team's 4th World Cup title. While cheering them on, fans also chanted for equal pay. In March, 28 members of the team sued for pay discrimination, citing the prize for the men's World Cup last year was $400 million, while female players only got $30 million this year. The FIFA president says the organization will double that amount for the next Women's Cup in 2023.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, a look at medical issues for private citizens who want to go into space and the connections between Tempe Normal School, now known as ASU, and Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders. The next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour, The Green Rush. Miles O'Brien on the latest science on the potency and use of marijuana. That's Wednesday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.